Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the latest episode of the Hard Compound Live. For those of you who don't know, my name is Rich, and I run and operate the Hard Compound. We are a one-stop shop for all things motorsport, whether it be from the world of touring cars to F1, bikes, NASCAR, IndyCar, and everything else. And we put our motorsport content across our social media channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. These are in the form of race reviews, race previews, any breaking news, any throwbacks, birthdays, and anything that we want to put out, really. So do give us a follow: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Search for the Hard Compound, and you will find us. Looking forward to having you on board. Before we go any further, my apologies. I'm a little bit croaky this evening. I'm just fighting off a cold, so I'm on the limb sip. As you may have noticed, we also do live video interviews such as this one. These go out on our Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channels. And we've spoken to a number of guests from across the motorsport spectrum, past and present, and some future stars as well. From the two-wheeled world, we've spoken recently with Mr. Terry Reimer and with James Toseland. And we've also spoken with six-time BSB champion Shane Byrne. We've spoken with Brad Jones, Ryan Vickers, Bjorn Esmond, Christian Idden, and the like. From the world of single-seater karting, F1, IndyCar, sports cars, we've spoken with Mr. Terry Fullerton, the man who Ayrton Senna said was his biggest rival in his career. Absolutely fantastic chat with him. We've also spoken with Mr. Dick Bennett, the man behind Ayrton Senna's career, and also Mika Hakkinen, Eddie Irvine, Rubens Barrichello, and many, many others. We've spoken with the likes of Mr. Derek Warwick. We've spoken with Stefan Johansson, David Brabham, Alex Caffey, Perry McCarthy, Mark Blundell, Mika Salo, Emanuele Perot, Carl Wendling, Ari Lyndike, Danny Sullivan, Willie T-Ribs, Will Power, Linson James, Al Unser Jr. Spoken with Paul Page, the voice of the Indy 500. And we've also had the honour and the privilege of speaking with Mario Andretti and Jackie Ickx. But if you're tuning in tonight, the likelihood is you're a BTCC fan. And we've had a number of the drivers past and present from that series joining us. We've spoken with Tom Chilton, Jake Hill, Ollie Jackson, Chris Smiley. We spoke with Jade Edwards, with Rob Gravitt, Matt Neal, John Clennon, Steve Soper, Gabriele Tarquini, Rickard Rydell, Ivan Muller just 2 weeks ago, Andy Brio, Frank Sittner, Dan Rowbottom, many, many more. All legends, which brings us very nicely onto our guest this evening. He is a man synonymous with a particularly branded RS500 from the BTCC in the 80s. He is a very successful businessman and runs a very successful motorsports parts and tuning business. So we're going to cover that, and we're going to cover all the racing as well. So please join me in extending a very, very warm welcome to BTCC legend, Mr. Graham Goode.
Evening.
And here we are. Graham, how are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for sparing your cold Wednesday evening to come and have a chat with us. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah, it's absolutely Baltic, isn't it? Really
very cold, and it's the same cold that's got into my lungs. So I'm on the I'm on the lemsip, as I say. But no, thank you very much. Appreciate you missing the second half of the World Cup semi-final. But it's always good to talk about the sport.
Worse if England had been in it, but no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yes, it would have been nice, but yeah, tonight's match doesn't matter so much to us Brits, does it? Now we're out. So, but no, thank you very much for coming and having a chat. And thank you to those who have tuned in excuse me, already. You might get a few throat clears today, guys. I'm sorry. We have Thomas Day, Mark Wagstaff, and Diffan Evans have already tuned in, and Andy Rouse, engineering his Facebook page. The guys who run that have tuned in. So thank you guys, and do pass on our best regards to Andy. If you have any questions, do put them in the comment section, and we will try and work them in. But without further ado, I guess let's start at the start. Obviously, I mean, you've had a quite a life in the automotive world and quite a racing career. How did you first become interested in cars and then in motorsport?
Well, I was born in and around Market Harbour, Market Town, and publicans, and we were in a pub in a little village called Loving, a local garage there, and the son of the garage owner, with a 1650 Cortina engine in it and big wide watches and that, and he took me out for a ride in that one evening, or took me evening, and absolutely blew me away. You know, twin 40 Webers, and so, just so fast, and you know, grip the road and all. Yeah, that's what started me off. And I thought, you know, yes, I'll have some of that, and so you know, got myself out.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I mean, after, you know, that sounds like a fantastic bit of kit to be taken out in, and yeah, that's certainly going to that's certainly going to get you the bug, isn't it? So I mean, once you'd got that bug of cars and that kind of a thing, did you ever think about racing in the early days, or was it a case of, or did you just want to be around cars and maybe looking at a career?
Well, no, I started sort of thinking, well, in fact, he's on the track then, basically. It was a fast road car initially. Then he put it on the track, and I'll do the same. And in fact, we're talking now, like the late 60s. Did actually do, you know, a couple of races, but not that I really count them, because I didn't know really. But then the big change came when I saw an advert for Broad Speed Engineer, and they were moving from the centre of Birmingham to which it was like about, I think, 20 or 30 miles away from where I was living. But I just recently finished an apprenticeship at the electricity board, and so I was a qualified electrician, and I thought, well, you know, maybe they want to help with that, and that side of things. So I applied there, and was fortunate enough to get a job, but it wasn't wiring up cars or wiring anything initially. Head shop, polishing, porting, cross. I think Ralph had got a contract with Ford, and he was supplying them heads, you know, sold on. But yes, so that's how I got into Broad Speed along with Andy.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, you know, obviously you mentioned Andy. I mean, you were working alongside him at the time. I guess was it straight off the bat you were working with Andy when you went straight in to Broad Speed? Was he already there?
Well, that's right. Yeah, we were in the head shop, and Andy then into the race shop, because he'd gone up there on a sort of even Formula Ford at the time, and I think Ralph wanted to get into he thought it'd be a good idea to sponsor an up-and-coming driver, which Andy was at the time, a job, and was part sponsored, and so he went on fairly soon after I arrived, and the building was all new, and they were just rigging up the dyno, and so, you know, Ralph came to me and said, you know, could you go sell up, you know, your electrician? So I said, yeah, that's no problem, I can do that. So, you know, after a few months, I went into this test cell, and we were wiring it all up and plumbing in all the pipe work, and I prided myself on doing a nice, neat job. And so, I just did it as I would normally do it, doing the cables and the pipes and everything nice and neatly. And blocked onto this, and again, after a few weeks or whatever, you'd be good on the race team. And I said, well, you think so? I said, really? And he said, 90% of it, he said, is common sense. He said, you'll be fine. I then moved into the race shop and again was working alongside Andy, building and running the cars. And that was really, for me, really, because it obviously taught me so much.
Wow. It's just, it sort of sounds like something you kind of, you just went in and did your thing, and it took you into the into that kind of side of all the on the racing side. Excuse me. I've just seen a couple of comments saying that the sound is breaking up at your end, Graham. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm just going to check the sound, folks. Apparently, it is a bit crackly at Graham's end, so we're going to check it out for you. Just 1 second. Okay. This is the joys of live chats, boys and girls. It does happen. Yes, a few people saying the sound's breaking up. Okay. I'm just going to have a quick play here. Okay. Let's see how we go. Right. Graham, can we just hit refresh again very quickly just to see if it clears up any sound crackles? You're saying it crackles when. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go as well. Back in a moment. Okay. Andy Dawson, it's only Graham who is breaking up. Okay, no problem. Thank you, Andy. These things happen, folks, with live chat. It's no problem. Graham will be back very shortly. I thought it might be me cracking up. Well, it could be my voice box. But thank you, folks, everyone who's tuning in. Appreciate the feedback on the sound. We always try and sort it. Just while we wait for Graham to come back, we have got a number of these live chats lined up in the first 2.5 months next year. So stay tuned for those. Okay, Graham's back. Just going to bring him back in. There we are. Diffan Evans, that's technology for you. Yes, right. Okay, we are back. But no, obviously great insight into what was going on at Broadspeed there. But you said that Andy wasn't there very long because he was off doing the same.
No, Andy was into the race shop before I did. So then we were both together in the cars.
Gotcha. Fantastic. So obviously you're at Broadspeed and it's all going rather well. I mean, did you ever have any ideas in your mind of setting up your own business further down the line? Obviously at the time you were happy with Broadspeed, but did you think maybe I can do this?
Well, that's right. I had an opportunity after about 2.5 years, and after about 2.5 years, I started getting itchy feet a little bit, and I had the sort of set my own business up with a partner. To be fair, we were a railway arch in central Leicester, just literally up the road from Williamson's garage was.
Okay.
And with a partner, like a sleeping partner, and you see that would be early 73, Broadspeed, and that's when I started myself and then continued to then the Ford Anglia.
Yes, that was your first venture into the racing. I mean, mean, was obviously the racing was was always an interest. I mean, did you think you could ever kind of make like a full time like career out of it, or was the business always the priority?
Oh no, it was
In the end?
always the business. It was just a hobby, really. Yeah, it was just a hobby I enjoyed doing, and obviously you want to do well, but no, I never would develop it to anything other than just a hobby.
Yeah, no, sure. Yeah, it's a hard game to make a full time career in, isn't it? But I mean, obviously, so there was the racing side was obviously of interest, and you mentioned the like Ford Anglia. What made you sort of like pick on the Ford Anglia and take it racing? What was the thoughts behind starting in that?
The fact that that was the car that first sort of got me interested in Ford cars, and it was very tunable. That was the car to have. It was everybody had an Anglia or a Cortina. Although my Anglia had a 1000cc F Formula 3 engine, and I started racing with in 73 and then 74, enough to win the Ford Trust Saloon Car Championship, and that's really what's my motorsport career, really.
Yeah, it's kind of set the ball rolling, I guess. I mean, I suppose a 1000cc engine in an Anglia would certainly do it. And obviously, winning the championship, I guess it gives you like a shot in the arm to think, oh, I can do this racing lark. And it's obviously, it helps when you're running up at the front, when you want to keep going. Excuse me. But you again, going back to the business side, you specialised in Ford initially, didn't you? That was that just because of there was plenty of Ford around at the time, or?
Well, again, they were escorts, Mark 1 escorts, been raced in Anglia, but they were just a very tunable car, and I've always been. It's just the way things worked out, really. I suppose it could have just as easily been another mate, but I mean, at that time, really, I wasn't thinking about. I was just doing regular. We were doing regular repairs, car repairs. It was still at that stage just a hobby.
Right, sure. It was just like funding the hobby of racing. Excuse me, folks. Apologies. But I mean, so you've raced the Anglia and you're funding it as a hobby and everything. But you moved into racing. This is some info you gave me just yesterday. Is it 75 and 76? You raced was it the 1300cc
That's
Mark
right.
1 Escort? I mean, what a car!
Yeah. So, well, that's right. So, that was 6, and that was a car again. Really, I've been building at broad speed. So that was a really nice car. So 75 and 76, and then in 76, my business partner. So I then decided to branch out. That's when we actually moved to the site that we now occupy in Leicester, and so we were moved there, and that was then my second year with the Mark 1 Escort in the CCBDA, and I think we're doing the Simon Saloon, and that was again a very successful car. Happy times, really. Very, very good.
Yeah, fantastic. Great car drive. I mean, you mentioned your premises that you've got presently. Just going to have a very quick like digression. I was in Leicester. I haven't been there. It was 2008, and went there for the football when Leicester were in what's now League One. We were just there and went to a game. And on the way out of Leicester, because I didn't even realise, I kind of forgotten that you had the business there, and we drove past your premises.
Yeah.
And I got very excited because I had a couple of mates who aren't motorsport fans, and I just went, "Graham Goode, he's a touring car driver." And my friends were like, "Yeah," but I actually had to pull in and take a photo and everything. I think they thought I was a bit crazy taking a photo of a garage, but or of a shop.
Yeah. It's on the main A426. Yeah. As you're coming out of Leicester towards if you're going towards the motorway. But yeah, so that'd be 76, and again, only doing normal everyday repairs, and the motor racing was just a hobby really, and it continued to be for but yeah, so that was 76. Then 77, 70 litre Mark II Escort with initially with a BDG in it. Last year we put a 420R engine in it. At that time, again, quite successful, but then all of a sudden, space frame, lightweight space frame cars with fiberglass body. My car was just a steel shelled car really, and obviously a lot heavier, so that became uncompetitive really in 79. So much racing then, and then 1980 we then off Capri in what was then Group 1,
right,
with the 3 litre Capri.
Cool. Yeah, that must have been quite something to drive. The 3 litre Capri must have been.
Yeah.
Was it a handful?
It was, but I did okay, but I wasn't. Didn't set the world on fire. It was obviously you at the time again. My paths were sort of crossing it. Andy was doing it with Gordon Spice, and there was some serious people like, and it was very, very competitive, and obviously budgets were big now, and it was becoming more difficult to fund it. But we go, and we had some good times. Much higher level. You're supporting the British Grand Prix and that kind of thing. So a step up really from what was before, which was really just club racing.
Sure. I mean, I didn't realise it was actually on support of the British Grand Prix. I mean, that must have been a pretty big thing. I mean, when you're, obviously there's the crowd there and you're in front of it. I mean, did you ever kind of think, crikey, I'm in front of all these people on this huge event? I mean, does it change your, like, the way you feel about going racing when you have an event like that? Because I mean, it feels different when you go to a Grand Prix to anything else. I find, or to a big event.
Yeah. Well, the Grand Prix was the event of the year for everybody really, and any sponsors and that you had for that reason. But no, I mean, when you're wrapped up, you're preparing your car, you're sorting out problems, you're wondering why you're not quick enough, sorting tyres out, and so really the crowd is sort of almost instant. It's no it didn't make a lot of difference.
No, sure.
Didn't to me.
I guess when you're focusing on the business in hand, you don't spot all the people out in the out in the stands. Very cool though to have been on the support for the Grand Prix, of course. But so moving into the 80s, I mean, I've got here that you raced, moved on to the Lotus Elan, and which I almost thought was a big car.
Yeah. No, well, that was I sold my special saloon 2-litre car to and he then, I think, or people the club that he was associated with, they asked me if I'd like the be 1980, end of 1980. But I hadn't really got a car to go out and race. The Group 1 Capri wouldn't have been quick enough with what was the competition he bought. That was like a mod sports GT car. It was again a BD. It was all Formula 2 suspension, and I think a guy like Ellis, and it's a quick car, very quick. So I went to Trinidad, raced that over the winter series. Had a lot of fun out there. Trinidad, beautiful part of the world.
I'm sure.
And then do well with it, and then sell it to somebody out there, and hopefully everybody's happy. But as it turned out, a lot of promises, but so we finished up bringing it back, and then I had a car with my very good friend Alistair Lyle, and we did some races at what was the series. But that started in 1981 time. So that was exciting. Trinidad.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I think you're the first person I've spoken to who's been racing out in Trinidad, which is wow, what a great place to go racing. I'll have to volunteer to help someone do that one day, I think. Certainly a lot warmer than it is here today. Yeah, so obviously there's 1980. I mean, you entered what was the BSCC, now the British Touring Car Championship, and through its various guises. Had you kind of followed the BSCC for a while, and was it something that you'd been looking to get into at that time?
Well, it was a championship, or whatever. Yeah, that it was still that was the top saloon car championship in the country. So it was, the place to be, really, if you could manage it. So yeah, so I did 2 or 3 years, well, I think 3 years in total, and then it not very successful, I haven't, but and then of course it changed to Group A, and when it changed divisions, altered the spec of the engine from memory. I think it was on the carburetor, and that made the Capri, uncompetitive pretty much overnight.
Right.
And so I then stepped back and think, well, this is not going to work. We did, I think it was 83. We did do competitive with what was coming through, like the Rovers and so forth.
Yeah.
When we looked at the regulations and to move down a class and to half-litre class, which allowed a turbocharged car factor of, I think it was 1.4. So if the engine was just just less than 1800 on the Nissan Bluebird. You're still under the 2.5 litre category.
Right.
And
Right.
so we went for that car in 84 and 85. And
that was just purely because the Capri had become uncompetitive, and it was better suited to the class change and things like that.
Yeah, and that worked out pretty well. I mean, it was exciting times because it was a turbocharged car. Fuel injection, sort of more into motorsport. Prior to that, it all been carburetors, but now with ECUs and so on. And I got involved with Bill Gibson, who ran Zytec, the engine management company, and they were doing the. And in fact, it was the Nissan Bluebird was the second turbocharged ECU they ever did. The first one was Ayrton Senna's Tolman.
Oh right! Wow.
The Zytec ECU, yeah. And so they and as I say, it was really very exciting and learning about turbocharging, electronics, time, and that'd be 84, 85. Yeah, we did pretty well with that car, but the homologation and technical side of things too helpful, and to be honest, it all got a bit much, and we sort of withdrew it a couple of 3 races before the end of the 85 season. I was struggling financially, and with everything going on it. So that was that. So that takes us up to the end of 85.
Yeah, because that year kind of felt like, as you say, so it was very exciting with all the bits and pieces going on. It kind of felt like almost like a breakout kind of year, I think they call it these days. When you got, I think that year you had your first outright podium finish. I think third, from memory. Where's my notes here? At Alton Park, which is a fantastic circuit. And it just felt like it seemed to be going pretty well. But then, as you say, you had the financial issues, which, it's nothing new, is it? The finances of motorsport, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it was. We developed a really good car, and it was. But at the end of the day, it all costs money, and I just started developing the site, as say up in Leicester. We were starting to selling a lot of parts and a motor factor business from there, as well as doing normal repairs and the rest of it. And it was just a very very busy, and just trying to keep all the plates spinning. It out of hand, really. But anyway, we come through, and that was that. And then in 86, I didn't really know, and at the last minute we bought a Renault 5 Turbo, a few races with that, just to sort of for a bit of fun, really. But
just to keep the eye in.
Yeah.
Great car.
And
great little car.
Continued, trying to build the business, and then of course, till then 87, we then had the sort of opportunity back into the BTCC with what was then the normal Sierra. Cosworth Sierra 500 coming out in the August. But yeah, so that was it. That to 87.
And obviously, I mean, you had a good relationship with Ford, or Fords, just through the business and things like that. And obviously, we know the RS 500 program was the wheels were being put in motion. It was basically just set up as a Group A, winner, wasn't it? That was the whole birth of the RS 500. Was that the thinking behind going down the Sierra route for the early part of 87? Because you knew that the RS 500 was, was about to be unleashed on us all.
Yeah. I can't. The Sierra Cosworth in its original form was, a very competitive car. I think the RS 500 was the icing on the cake, really.
Yeah, because Andy had won the title, hadn't he, before in the
Merca? Yeah,
in
the Merca, yeah. That's right. So he worked for the chassis and so on, with the Merca, and then into the Cosworth, but obviously with obviously the much better engine, and that was revelation, really. But so go that route, and his own business in Coventry, and he was building cars and so we decided to with Andy and build our own car, and that's really how we started. With the
fantastic.
With the
wow, I love that. I mean, I've got to hear your first race in the RS 500. You came second at Donington, behind Mr. Frank Sittner, who we know very well. Did it instantly feel like a different car to drive? The RS 500. Oh yeah, you said it had the better engine and it was more geared up for racing and things like that. Did it instantly feel like a better car?
Well, no. What I meant was that the Cosworth had the better engine than the Merca.
Sorry. I got you.
So we the Sierra Cosworth was very competitive, and we raced August, but of course that's where association with Listerine started.
Yes. Yes.
In 18, and I was approached by and at the time series on, and Brown wanted to do that. And Ray Brown, a very successful sports car driver.
Yeah.
His sponsor was Listerine or Warner Lambert Health Care. And so he approached me about doing the World Touring Car Championship with the Sierra 7, and obviously I was with funding from Listerine, but something happened whereby he couldn't do it.
Right.
So I can't think whether business thing or what commitments he'd got, followed through. And by this time, the Listerine people had looked at the car that we were building, and we're very keen on it. And so they decided that whilst Ray had couldn't carry on, but in the British series. Right. So that's really how Listerine came about. Fabulous people, lovely people, good, really good years And
yeah, absolutely.
that's how I got a leadership.
Wow, that's, I mean, and it's one of the most sort of eye-catching and best known, like paint schemes, in BTCC, ever, I think. I mean, did you have any input on what the car looked like, or did they just say, right, we're going to put the logo on it, the dragon's going on the back, and or did you get a say on the colour?
They did all that to me. Well, I mean, in '87 it was 88 it was white, and then 89 it did alter, but it had always got the dragon on the side, which is obviously their sort of logo, really, I suppose. But no, they came up with the design, and we were happy to and help with the cost of it all.
Yeah, fantastic. I must admit, when they changed the car to black, I think it was in 90. That was a real curveball. I was only 9, and it really threw me because I was always looking out for the white, for the white one when you came out in black. But it did look great. It was a fantastic looking car. I just want to run through just a couple of the just a couple of the like results you had. I mean, just in '87, you had a pair of like second places at Alton and Thruxton. You had third at Silverstone. Did you, when those results came in, did you ever have an eye on like winning the championship? Did you think we can really give this a good run? Because obviously it was in classes and same win, same points for class wins as overall wins and things like that. But did you think you had a chance of winning the championship at any point in those couple of years?
No, I've got to be honest. I mean, to every race you go every year, you go with a hope of doing better and doing well and winning races maybe, but no, I'm afraid amongst the sort of competition that we got and the budgets that were about, the realistic sort of thought against the sort of people that were in it at the time. But I was, to be honest, to be involved, clearly trying to do as well and as good as we could do. You've always got that hope of just pulling in a few shots, but it was pretty competitive. So looking back, just really happy to have been involved in what was a sort of an iconic time, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I've always said it's my favourite era of the BTCC because it was when I got into it and things like that. And you say how just how competitive it was. I mean, it felt like the '88 season was the year that the RS 500 got put on the map, mainly with Andy Rouse and Steve Soper having a real battle around Brands Hatch, which we've all seen. And obviously there'd been tweets, the like Eggenberger crew had tweaked Steve's machine up to the eyeballs, and Andy Rouse had an extra boost in his and things like that. And just wondering what your thoughts are on that particular race, the Rouse v Soper thing that we've all seen, because it really did make everyone kind of take notice of the RS 500 even more so.
Yeah, well, I mean, the two names you mentioned there, they're really from that era, and a bit worried that Richard and the lead on my iPad's not good.
Oh, that's okay. We can. It's all right. We can sort it.
Why that's not charging? So yeah, no, I don't know what's going on there, mate.
That's all right. We can sort it. It's all right. No problem.
I just want to break for a minute while I just sort that out, or lose battery, I think.
We can do if you like. If you want to just quickly dash off and
Yeah,
reattach
well,
what needs to be reattached, that's no problem at all.
yeah, I don't know why it's not charging, but
Hmm.
yeah, but just quickly back to you. I mean, yeah, you know, Stephen and Andy, they're obviously the two standout drivers. Yeah, I mean, both fantastic drivers. Andy in particular, and yeah, not a lot between them really. And yeah, that Birmingham too was an iconic race, no doubt about it. Talked about today, and often you see clips on YouTube and Facebook and whatever.
Yes, it still does the rounds. It's a fantastic bit of driving. In what's become an iconic car, as you say. I just want to move quickly on to excuse me. Actually, no. While we're at it, I mean, I want to talk about the sort of the like class system. Where you got the same points for a class win as you did for an on the road win. Just wondering what your thoughts on that work, because this kind of divides opinion. I mean, as an example, in '88, Andy Rouse won 9 of the 12 races and came third in the championship, whereas Frank, who was in Group B or C, I can't remember, Frank Sittner, was never anywhere near the podium and won the championship. And then the following year, John Cleland never finished higher than 9th and won the title. Just wondering what your thoughts were on that sort of system, and are you glad they've got rid of it?
Well, it's how it was really. I'm not really. I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. I mean, obviously Chris Hodges. I mean, he won the championship and were trying to hard. You know, you only took for it. Maybe it wasn't the numbers instances, but I really thought about it too much. A couple of years I was in the 2.5 litre class, so I sort of benefit really. I never won a race outright in the Nissan,
Sure.
but plenty of class wins. So
yeah,
that's how it is.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that the fans sort of were more concerned about by the sounds of it. I think it is absolutely fine.
Well, that's right.
A little crack on down.
Like now you've got the the current champion. They're all the same sort of size of car pretty much, and so it's in a lot of ways it's almost like a, but it makes for extremely close racing, but not quite the variety that we had in our day, where you'd have several groups of cars around, so having their own battles.
Yeah, I mean, and as you say, it's become more, I guess, like a spec series, I suppose, as you say, with with the various. There's a very narrow window of things to change, isn't there? Whereas, as you say, it was far more engineering, perhaps, or like differences in engineering back when you were doing the race, back when you were racing back in the 80s. It's certainly changed, but it's still, it's still very exciting, as you say. One thing I do want to quickly touch on is the Birmingham Super Prix. Now, this is something that I have always wanted them to bring back. Obviously, it's not going to happen because it was it was a bit ridiculous, wasn't it? But did you enjoy racing around the streets of Birmingham?
Oh yeah, that was a tremendous event. That was, yeah, it was. That's right. The paddock was in the fruit and veg market, and yeah, it was unbelievable. But yeah, I can't say they're ever coming back again. But it was added, and obviously pretty exhilarating around the streets between the Armcos. It was good.
Yeah, I'll bet. I mean, I always remember because it was that and the Formula 3000 race and all the other, and it even as you know, I was 9 or 10 years old at the time, and I just thought this is absolutely bonkers. But it just looked just incredible. And as you said, I'm very glad to hear that you said you enjoyed racing around there.
Yeah. Let me just go. Rich, can you go and change this lead? Otherwise,
yeah, not a problem. Not a problem.
Stay with me a second.
No worries. I have seen, folks, that a few more comments of the sound is dropping out again at Graham's end. I'm going to try and fiddle with a few things here. Just see if I can do anything at my end, but it may just be at Graham's end. But thank everyone for tuning in. I hope the crackly sound hasn't been too bad. And I hope my throat clearing hasn't been too bad either. Apologies. So yeah, we're just coming towards the end of the BTCC thing. We're going to have a few little chats about motorsport stuff, and then we'll move on. As I said, we have a number of these live chats coming up, so do stick with us in the new year. Here we are.
Yeah, I'm just changing the lead.
No problem. Not a problem. All good.
Okay, so carry on, mate. What we were saying.
Happy days. So yes, Birmingham. So 1990 was your final season. Your final season in the BTCC. Was it always the plan to be the final year, or was it just the way it panned out?
Well, the last of the or the regulation in 91 to a straight 2-litre 4-in. Effectively, the RS 500 was outlawed after 1990.
Yeah, it was so good they got rid of it.
And so we all went on to the 2-litre, straightforward 2-litre car. We did do a year normally aspirated. I hadn't got any budget myself, but Andy Middlehurst in a car, and yeah, it didn't too bad. But by that time, Listerine, BMW, and Vic Lee Motorsport, and sales sponsorship, and so that was really quite. And after that, I decided to concentrate on the business.
Right, and that became the priority. I mean, you mentioned about Vic Lee. I mean, we all know his various little stories, things that went on with him. But that shouldn't detract from the fact that he was actually very good at running the team, wasn't he? He was very, very good. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, he was. You're absolutely on a good team, and knew what he was doing. But yeah, some of his raising money were not, not legal.
Yes, yes, his fundraising exploits weren't above board. Excuse me. My apologies, guys. Very quickly, I've just seen a comment here from Chris McMahon. Need to mention the Mike Smith incident in 1989 at Alton when Graham got his 30 seconds on TV. Was that the one where he drove into you, Mike Smith?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean that's probably my fame, really. But yeah, no, I was pretty annoyed, but no, I mean at the time, I mean there wasn't there is now, and so it was like Saturday afternoon, and that was it. And yeah, I headlined grandstand, a bit of a tirade against Mike Smith. So yeah, that's something I get reminded of endlessly, really. But yeah, it was quite a fact, and my grandchildren often comment on it, but I was overreacting a little bit.
Well, it's in the heat of the moment. Things get said, don't they? And just ask John Cleland. He's living on something on the 1992, isn't he? He's been living on that.
Steve had a sort of a similar incident, even more famous. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but it's these incidents that everyone remembers, and it's why we all love the BTCC. Just very quickly on that 1990 year, it was the year that Rob Gravitt came on with his Yokohama tyres and just blew everyone out the water. What did you think when Rob turned up and did what he did? Because he was almost untouchable, wasn't he? That year he was incredible.
Right. I mean, fair play to him. I mean, he sort of looked at what was available, and really, and everybody, and fair play to him, really. I mean, I've Yokohama tyres for the last 3 or 4 races of the 1990 season, and there's no doubt, they were a good tyre at the time. You just got to take your hat off to him and say, look, he did a better job, and he thought about. It's all about the package, isn't it? Motor racing. It's all about the package, the money, the equipment, the tyres, the driver behind you, and so on. So, he got it together, and fair play to him.
Yeah, absolutely, and he obviously won the title on the back of it. So obviously, in 1990, you stepped away from the racing yourself. You did a bit of racing out in the Far East, didn't you? And run some races out in Malaysia.
Right, yeah. I mean, really, by the end of sort of, we got the car quite reliable, and it was going pretty well. Behind Andy and Rob and Andy at the final event in 1990.
Yeah, you took the podium. Yeah, third spot, wasn't it?
That's it. And the car was good. And it was reliable. So we did the year in 91 with Andy Middlehurst with a new car, and normally aspirated. And then I got asked to go out to and with the 500 because they were still in many parts of the world, it was still eligible for another couple of years, and I got asked to go out there, and thought, well, why not? Quite a good package, sponsored by Petronas, who obviously are in F1 now. We had the first 2 years, particularly 91, 92, races in the year, or 4 meetings. There were probably a couple of races per meeting. And we shipped the car out. The car stayed there, and then we'd have a couple of months and do the meeting, and come back, and a really good experience, and we really enjoyed it.
Wow.
So we did that, and then after 3 years, it got a bit samey, and draw a line under that, and really put into the business then.
Sure. So that was the time that you thought, right, the racing, you've done your racing. It's been, it's been kind to you. You've been around the world racing and BTCC and all that, and back to the business side, I guess. Excuse me. Just something that was flagged up to me over the weekend. Someone has asked, what happened to the RS 500 shell? that was on top of the container outside your premises for years. I think it was there when I saw it. It was like a landmark to many. He said there was a.
What colour was it?
Might have been. I've got it in my mind. It might have been blue or grey. Blue.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
No, it was. I mean, a lot of cars about it. So if it was a race car, I don't know what that would be. But at the time, the penny really, weren't they? In the early 90s, there were so many cars about stripped down, wrote off and whatever. But Richard, I'm afraid.
No problem at all. I mean, I can remember it being there, but it may well be that there was a number of them on a cycle. You know, that as you say, there were so many of them flying around. I've seen a few. I mean, you at the business now. You obviously you sell all the parts and you do all the you know, like some like performance enhancement and tuning and things like that. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube, I think, that have gone through your shop. There's a couple of Ford videos there saying that they've been tuned and souped up and made noisy and things like that. Do you have any sort of favorite cars that have come in the last few years and you've worked on and thought, oh, that was a nice one?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean to say. Towards when we finish racing or before, you know, we sort of, because up until that time, on just normal everyday cars. They motor spares. We sold a tremendous amount of motor spares. We were like a motor fan, but it became apparent that there were people inquiring about parts to enhance their cars, and so we started to when we finished racing, or towards the end of racing, we started to and we found that people were wanting to sort of road cars as we were using on the track, and so we'd learned, we were able to bring to the top on their road cars, and headed tanks and bigger intercoolers, different turbochargers, all manner of things really. AP brakes, people wanted to put, so we were doing conversions for big 4-pot, 6-pot, obviously altered the suspension and all that. So the next really busy, developing various parts, doing people's cars. People would come to us from all over the country, all over the world, really. Send their, and with the several cars, even today, that are the race cars, you know, but are on the road, and so that was again a very, very busy time and exciting time, really. It'll be like really, that would be the early 90s, really, and then of course the Escort Cosworth came, which again 4-wheel drive, and onto another level, and again with people wishing to sort of more, more power, better road holding, brakes, etc. Lifting the bonnet, people wanted to see the nice shiny bits seen.
I think we might have lost an internet connection there, folks. No problem at all. I'm sure Graham will return. We're all almost finished. We're gonna have a few little fun questions at the end, and there's a question about hyper hatches, favourite circuits, and does Graham tune into the BTCC? We are going to put those to Graham when he returns. I think the lead might have fallen out or the internet might have conked out. Apologies if it is crackly at Graham's end. Not really much I can do from this end, but when he comes back, we should be okay. Again, apologies for my croakiness this evening. Not normally the case, but yes, thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been absolutely fascinating hearing Graham's take as a proper car guy on the BTCC and obviously on those legendary RS500s that we all enjoy. As I alluded to earlier, got a number of live chats coming up in the early weeks of 2023. We've got somebody who's raced in W Series and in GT racing. We've got two people who raced in the Formula One World Championship in the 80s before heading out to IndyCar. We've got at least one of the brightest young talents on the TOCA package. We've got two motorcycling legends coming on to join us. We've got a former BTCC champion joining us. I'm just trying to think now. We've got many others. So we've got a lot of great guests coming up. Very, very excited for that. And we've also got someone who's raced in Formula One and at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which doesn't narrow it down very much because we have spoken with the likes of Mark Blundell and David Brown, Stephanie Hansen and the like. But we have got a lot coming up, so do not go anywhere, folks. We're just waiting to see if Graham's going to come back. I've got my phone ready and waiting here just in case he needs to give me a call. But thank you everyone for tuning in. Very much appreciated. Excuse me. And we will be putting some questions, some more fun questions to Graham when we come back. When he comes back. Diffan Evans, how is trying to get Jason Plato back to do part 2 coming along? I am trying, Diffan. What a fantastic chat that was with Jason Plato just a few weeks ago. We did say we were going to try and do part 2 within 2 weeks of that first part. Jason's been very busy doing things. I think he's been doing stuff with the Late Break Show and with Fifth Gear and all the other things that Jason Plato does. But I am working on it. I don't want to be too pushy, but I have been in contact with him. So hopefully Jason will be joining us in the early part of the new year, if not before Christmas. Fingers crossed. That is one that I do recommend you watching in our on our Facebook page in the video section and on our YouTube. Absolutely brilliant chat with Jason, as we knew it would be. Fantastic character. And so, yes, stay tuned. Fingers crossed. Jason Plato's going to come back for part 2 because we ran out of time in part 1. My voice is going to expire very soon, folks. Excuse me. As I said, on the Lemsip today. Yeah, so we've got some fantastic guests coming up. We've had some fantastic guests in the past. Just to add some of those names, going to do a bit of name dropping. Eddie Cheever, F1 driver, sports car driver, Indy 500 winner. We've spoken with Will Power, Alex Palou, Alonso Jr., Lynn St. James, J.R. Hildebrand, all these guys from the IndyCar series. Going back to the BTCC, we've had a live chat with the boss of Accelerate Motorsport, Justina Williams. So she's, she was a fantastic guest, incredibly driven lady and incredibly successful. And she and the team deserve all the success that they get. And of course, they won the championship last year, which is absolutely fantastic. Crikey. Who else have we had on? I mentioned James Toseland and Mr. Terry Reimer. If you're a bikes fan, absolutely brilliant. We've got 2 more legends on the bikes world coming up. Hopefully a few more. We've also got a young North American reporter on NASCAR. and she's got some incredible stories from her journey through motorsport. She's going to be coming on for a chat early in the new year as well. So we've all been very, very busy. Still not heard anything from Graham, so we're going to give him another few moments. If you do want to put anything in the comments, I'll happily have a chat with you while we're waiting for Graham to come back. While we're on the subject of our RS500s and Graham Goode and Rob Gravett and Andy Rouse, etc., etc., just say congratulations to Rob Gravett's son, Bradley Gravett, who's in the mini challenge with Accelerate, and he's been promoted to the role of development driver in the BTCC. So congratulations to Bradley. And I can just see that Graham is back, so I'm going to bring him back in. There we go.
Can you
Oh, well, he was here. There might be snowstorms up in Leicestershire, folks. We might be at the mercy of the weather. Not down here in the tropical south. It's a balmy 2 degrees outside. But Graham is, well, he's still with us. So we're just hoping that he can log back in very, very soon. We're just going to wait. But yes, going back to the chat with Jason Plato, obviously he had a rather sizable rivalry with Ivan Muller. And if you're a fan of that era, the early to mid noughties, we have today been in touch with a legend of that era. So we're just going to figure out a date where he can come on and have a chat with us next year. And that's another one to look forward to. We've also tried to thrash something out with a former World Rally champion, which I am particularly excited for. So hopefully that one can come together. And that person will be joining us in the new year. Oh, what else have we got coming up for you all? We've got a current BTCC driver joining us early in the new year. He is going to be the second guest of 2023. So it's going to be great to hear from him. So very much looking forward to that. But that's all I've got for you at the moment, I'm afraid, folks. Graham is very, very close to joining us again. So I think he might be having some internet issues. But I can sit here and ramble. It's absolutely fine. Obviously, we've got Christmas coming up. Tell us your Christmas plans in the comments. Always nice to hear what folk are up to. Any motorsport Christmas presents incoming? Anything like that? Any track days? That's always a good Christmas present, isn't it? So if we can get something going about that. And I'm just going to hold fire here. I mean, I think it must be an internet issue because Graham hasn't contacted me via phone or email. But let's have a quick scroll back through those comments. Let's just see. It will be a championship rival, favourite circuits. Yes, we'll do that. Yes, wonderful. Oh, goodness me. So yes, if you do want to go back and check out our other interviews, this hasn't happened on the other interviews, so don't worry about that, folks. I'm just going to bring my list up here. I mean, we've our first one was actually with Mr. Rob Gravett and his son Bradley. That's what started all these off. We've spoken with the likes of Michael Cruz. We've got Ollie Jackson, Jade Edwards. We've got Ari Lyondike, Derek Warwick, Tom Coroner. We've had Louise Goodman on, which was a fabulous chat with Louise. She was excellent. Who have I not mentioned? Rick Parfit Jr. We've spoken with him. Mark and Emily Linscott. Now, Emily Linscott, she's taken a sabbatical from racing, but she's a very, very talented young lady. So hopefully she'll be back racing soon. Really fascinating chat with them. And Andy Prio, I mentioned. Ian Flux, that was a lively one. It was always going to be, wasn't it? With Fluxy. We've spoken with a young up and coming racer from Ireland by the name of Kales Cole. She needs to be checked out by you guys. She is going places fast, and she's in the F1000 series in 2022, and she's finalising her plans for next year. Very, very talented racer. So she's she is worth following. Kales Cole Racing. We've spoken with who have we got here? Sarah Moore from the W Series. Great chat with her last year. And from the mini challenge, Miss Lydia Walmsley joined us for a chat. Really good chat with her as well. Some of the challenges she's faced coming back from injury, and the step up from the Cooper class to the JCW class, which we know is not an easy one. Brad Gravitt joined us again with his then teammate Max Coates. Really, really good chat with that one. And we've had Fiona Leggett, the lady who famously ran a touring car on things like Crisp and Dry or something. Other cooking oils are available. It wasn't that, but really, really great chat with her as well. She seemed amazed that anyone wanted to hear from her, but she was one of the best guests that we've had. We spoke with Brian Herter, father of Colton Herter, who's looking to get into F1. Anthony Reid, another fantastic guest from the BTCC Super Touring era. Lovely, lovely guy. And we had a great chat with him. When was that? Back in April, we had Mr. Karen Chandhok, which was a terrific chat with him. Seems to divide opinion, but he, what he doesn't know about cars and motorsport isn't worth knowing. So that's another one that's really worth tuning into. We were joined by both Ricky and Rob Collard this summer. We've also had a chat with James Hinchcliffe, the IndyCar driver and now NBC presenter. We spoke with Harry King, one of the very best young talents coming out of the UK in recent years. He's doing terrific things for Porsche, both in the Benelux series and in the Carrera Cup on the Formula One support. That's another one that's really, really worth watching. Excuse me again. We also spoke with Alan Hyde, the man behind Tin Top Tuesdays. Absolute legend. Lovely, 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 lovely guy. One of the most enjoyable chats we've had. Terrific, terrific guy. And has become quite a good friend, which is always lovely to hear. We've also spoken with Scott Pruitt. If you like your North American endurance racing, Scott Pruitt's always a good chat. And that brings us pretty much up to speed, I think. Plenty of you to look at. Well, my throat is officially expiring, as you can hear. I'm just going to give it another couple of minutes for Graham to come back, and hopefully we can finish up. But do bear with us, folks. There's still a good number of you tuning in. Thank you. I'll keep my phone handy. Also in the new year, folks, we're going to try and run a couple of competitions. I've got a few bits and pieces here that I've come by in the last few weeks. So I'm going to try and run a competition for you guys. Yeah, we'll see how we go. See how we go with those. Excuse me. I think we might have to admit defeat here, folks. I've not heard from Graham, but I am going to. I'm just going to sit tight. Patience is a virtue and all that. So yes, we're almost at the end of the year. It's been quite a year again. Lots of things going on and off track. And unfortunately, we've lost some amazing characters from the world of motorsport, young and old. So we're going to be doing a post about that towards the end of the year, just to remember those who aren't going to see in the new year. Very, very sadly. John Kane, thank you for your comment there, John. Yep, me and the family are staying safe. I hope you are too. If you have just tuned in, guys, Graham's having some connection issues up there in the East Midlands. So hopefully he'll be back in another couple of minutes. If not, guys, I don't want to keep you too long. I'm sure you've got things to eat and drink and shows to watch, but I do appreciate you all sticking with us. I'm just going to check the email situation here, see if he's been able to make contact via email. It appears not, folks. It appears not. There we go. Nothing. But I do have an email from a BTCC Super Touring champion confirming his interest in having a chat with us. So that's very exciting. Right, folks, one more minute and then we're going to have to log off, I'm afraid, because I don't think Graham is going to be able to come back on. I'm just going to drop him a quick text message just to let him know. But a shame that we had to cut it short. Apologies, guys. Diffan Evans, I prefer this as there's nothing worth watching on TV at the moment. Couldn't possibly comment on that. I'm just going to drop Graham a message just to let him know. But yes, as I said, thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us. This is the joy of live chat. Sometimes the technology fails us. We do our best to keep it in check at this end. I'm just going to drop him a message. Chris McMahon, great chat while it lasted, Rich. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that, mate. What I will do, if Graham can't come back, I will collate any questions that you guys may have, and I'll send them to him, and we'll put a post out in the next few days answering them. I'm just going to send you a message now. So yeah, thank you, folks. Really do appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll be putting a video out before Christmas just to wish you all the merriest of Christmases, because it's a nice thing to do. Just going to send this. Okay. Here we go. Right. I think we are going to have to admit defeat, folks. Internet connection here is fine. Clearly can't be the same can't be said for Graham's end, it would appear. Okay. Thank you very much, folks. That is, I think we're going to have to call it a night. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the comments. Really appreciate the support of the hard compound as well. Don't forget to hit that like, your little thumbs uppy thing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, because you know it just makes everything look a little bit. It just makes everything look a little bit better and a little bit more positive for everyone when we've got lots of love hearts and thumbs up and kisses and all that kind of thing. So thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. Any chance you? Oh, good. That's a great comment. Any chance you could? Oh, hang on 1 second. Hang on a minute. Graham is just phoning me. Hang on. Graham, good evening.
Richard?
Hi there. Hello.
Oh, sorry, mate. I'm having all kinds of problems. The internet's dropping in and out and all sorts.
No, that's no problem. I mean, I did assume that might be the case. But no, it's no problem at all. As I just said in the message there, you know, it's been great speaking with you this evening, but and unfortunately, yeah, we had to cut it a bit short, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's it. But no, I'm sorry about it, Richard, but I'm in the country here and it's a bit unpredictable, I must admit. But I thought it would have been okay, but clearly not the case. But yeah, well, anyway, hopefully you got a little bit of stuff there.
No, it's been great. I've just been looking at the comments here, and everyone's saying how much they've enjoyed it. So yeah, really great speaking with you, Graham. And if it's okay, I'll just drop you an email in the morning if that's okay.
Yeah, all right, Richard. Okay, mate. Sorry about that, mate.
No problem at all. Thanks a lot, Graham, and a big thanks from everyone who's tuned in as well.
Okay, all the best, mate.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, Graham. Cheers. Bye-bye. There you go, folks. I'm sure you heard that. Yes, unfortunately, it is internet issues with Graham. But if you have any questions, do put them in the comments or send us a message at the Hard Compound at hotmail.com or on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, however you like to do it. And we'll get some final questions to Graham and we'll put a post out for you. On YouTube, comment here. Any chance you could get Vickley on for a chat? That would be very interesting indeed. Wouldn't it just? That's definitely something to work on. So that's it, guys. Thank you very, very much. Apologies, it hasn't quite ended the way we would have liked. But yeah, fantastic chat with Graham. Great to hear about his tales from the RS 500 years and beyond and since. And thank you, of course, to you guys for tuning in and for your continued support. So I will see you very soon, folks. And we have got plenty more motorsport stuff to come your way. Cheers, guys and girls. Good night.